Hey everyone, and welcome to Rise and Grind. We have 5 articles today. Mexico's Zapatista rebel movement says it's dissolving its autonomous municipalities. Don't know what any of that means. There's a lot of words in there that I don't know what that means, so I thought it'd be an interesting read. There's some rebel movement doing something in Mexico. Haven't heard about it. Probably covered up by a lot of other articles. Number 2, there's climate activists smash glass protecting 17th century painting in London's National Gallery. Yeah, not a good look for, I believe, Just Stop Oil. You're causing people to use more oil? Just stop breaking things. Go build something. Don't tear down other people. Dinosaur, hello, how are you? Article number 3, Supreme Court to hear arguments in case that could limit Congress on gun control. Interesting. They seem pretty limited on gun control already because we've seen zero gun control, so we'll talk about that one. Article number 4, 2% of the Earth's mass may be debris from massive collision that formed the moon. Sweet, love science. Love to hear about that. And then the last article we'll read, China boldly claims it has planned to mass produce humanoid robots that can reshape the world within 2 years. There have been many of these claims over the years. Elon Musk 10 years ago, or maybe over 10 years at this point, we'll be on the moon by 2023, or not moon, we'll be on Mars by 2023, by 2020 or 2030 or this other things. There's no going to Mars yet. Like, I'm sure there are going to be some trips at some point, but yeah. All right, first article. Mexico's Zapatista rebel movement says it's dissolving its autonomous municipalities. Let's take a look. The Zapatistas indigenous rebel movement in southern Mexico said it's, let's actually back up. What is the Zapatistas indigenous? Maybe they'll describe it actually. It is dissolving the autonomous municipalities it declared in the years following the group's 1994 uprising. Armed uprising at that. Interesting. So there's a indigenous peoples rebel group inside of Mexico. The Zapatistas led a brief rebellion that demanded greater indigenous peoples' rights since they have remained in their autonomous townships in southern state of Chiapas, refusing government aid programs. Interesting. So they're at odds with the current government that is of Mexico, but they probably want to be their own nation state, so they want no help from the current government, or think the current government down there is illegitimate, would be my guess. Interesting. In a statement dated November and signed by the rebel subcommander Moses, M-O-I-S-E-S, the group cited waves of gang violence that have hit the areas of Chiapas that borders Guatemala, but did not say whether the reason for dissolving the townships. The area held by the Zapatistas include areas near the border. There's also a possibility the changes may be related to the upcoming 2024 presidential election. The movement has run candidates in the past. Oh, interesting. So if they fold into Mexico and stop trying to stand alone and have integration, they can put up their own people into government. Seems fine. In upcoming statements, we will describe the reasons and the process involved in... give me just 1 second. Involved in taking the decision. We also began explaining the new structure of the Zapatistas' autonomy will look like. It said Zapatistas community centers will remain open to locals but be closed to outsiders. They serve as administrative, healthcare, and education centers, but will also the main point of contact between Zapatistas and the outside world. This is a very poorly written article. Okay, so inside of Mexico, there's an indigenous population named Zapatistas, and they had an armed uprising in 1994, and they have their own area, but are also refusing to be part of the local government that is Mexico. It's all very interesting in that I didn't know most of these things. But they're also struggling because they're on the border of Guatemala, so they need more security from from like what the central government of Mexico is bringing. It's a really interesting article. This will be linked in the notes below. If you would like to read it, I'm going to put it in chat. We'll move on to the next one. Article number 2, climate activists smash glass protecting 17th century painting in London's National Gallery. These are typically perpetrated by Just Stop Oil. One of the things that I don't like is when people go and smash things that other people are making. They may not appreciate what others are doing, but I don't think this type of violence is the way. It does get their message out there though, so maybe they want to get their message out there before instead of after. You got it. Boom. Joseph Bono, thank you for bringing that up in the chat. Here's the article, so you can follow along or read yourself as well. I meant to do that. There's a lot going on in my life. Was running behind today a little bit. So 2 climate protesters were arrested Monday after they smashed a protective glass panel covering the famous Diego Velázquez oil painting in London's National Gallery. 2 activists from the group Just Stop Oil targeted this painting, the Toilet of Venus, also known as Rockabye Venus, with small hammers. Photos showed the protective glass panel punctured with several holes. I'm sure they'll be able to repair this. Just Stop Oil, which has previously led similar, and they're playing a video about it. That's fine. The group said Monday that the 2 activists chose to target oil painting, one of the Spanish artist's most celebrated masterpieces, because it was previously slashed as part of the suffragette movement calling for women's rights in 1914. Okay, so this painting has history. Just Stop Oil said the protesters hammered the glass panel, then told people at the gallery women did not get the vote by voting. It's time for deeds, not words. Politics are failing us. It failed women in 1914, and now it's failing us. So that's actually an interesting protest. I kind of was against their protest, but this happened to this exact painting before for getting the right for women to vote. So they target it actually specifically, because one of the things in the past that Just Stop Oil has done is they go around to like gas pumps and just damage and vandalize gas pumps, and it's like, is that really going to get your point across? Like, I don't know. It also looks like after they vandalized it, they sat down peacefully and were like, yeah, we're just here doing this protest. Nah, they're just hurting their cause. Okay, good. All right. It's just a thought. It's just the thought of like, wait a second. Because also the things that I saw hurting their cause and their protests is they'll go around and smash some, convenience store owner that has gas pumps out front. And it's just like, you're hurting a small business and they're going to replace those pumps with things that cost oil to replace. So you're actually just causing the perpetuation of the system. Go protest the politicians that block climate change legislation. Yeah, exactly. Go sign, or additionally, go sign up people to vote. Go educate people. Go build something. Go actually build a movement rather than tearing down other things. Yeah. Good point. Blah, blah, blah. So marching last year, 2 activists threw cans of tomato soup over Vincent van Gogh's sunflowers. Part of the wave of youth direct action protest groups around the world, Just Stop Oil is backed by a US-based climate emergency fund set up to support disruptive environmental protests. Just Stop Oil activists have repeatedly staged multiple high-profile protests at the busiest highways and roads, as well as sports tournaments. That's dangerous to the public. Going and sitting on a highway and stopping a highway or roads or other things, that means ambulances can't get through, and that means people are literally dying because of your protests. Don't do that. Do not do that shit. I'm not saying don't protest. I'm saying don't put other people's lives at risk while you're protesting. Like, holy shit. In July, Blair's authorities expanded police power, allowing them to target activists who stop traffic and to move static protests. Yeah, you can move them to where they should be, which is outside the legislative bodies, to go protest the politicians. Anyways, this one will also be linked down below and has been linked in chat. Article number 3. No, I want ads to stop playing on videos so often. I need to download music and have it all locally. Get some copyright-free music locally. Anyways, article number 3. Supreme Court to hear arguments in case that could limit Congress and gun control. I didn't know Congress could be more limited in gun control. Like, is anyone aware of this? It seems like they're already so limited in gun control because they haven't passed jack squat over the years with, you know, since like major shootings like Columbine happened in 1999 and all the way forward. Sandy Hook happened, like a whole bunch of shit. Like, I didn't know they could be more limited. Like, that seems weird. But here's this article. It says they could be more limited. So, anyways. The Supreme Court hears oral arguments Tuesday in a case that could limit the legislative and political power of Congress and local lawmakers to regulate gun laws. Gun possession nationwide. The case U.S. versus Rahimi is the first of dozens of challenges to federal and state gun control laws. Passed the Safer Community Act last year. Ooh. Hell yeah. What is this? Bipartisan Safer Community Act. I'll put this in the notes as well, too. Alongside this article. So something did get passed. Woo! Bipartisan Safer Community Act. President Biden signed into law Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, BSCA, that expands vital mental health services and provides additional support to states and districts to design and enhance initiatives that will promote safer, more inclusive, positive school environments for all educators and school staff. Students, educators, staff. This bill includes $1 billion through Title IV, Part A of the Elementary Secondary Act to completely award subgrants to high-need LEAs to establish safer and healthier learning environments and to prevent and respond to acts of bullying, violence, and hate that impact our schools. Fucking great. That's beautiful. Tremendous work. Yeah, we need to ban all assault weapons. Yeah, exactly. Which Dems wants to do and will do if we can. Yeah, if we can keep a majority. Like, the most interesting thing coming up is the electoral process here. In this case, let's see what this article says. Great points, Joseph Bono. Appreciate you bringing those up. I did not know that was passed, and that's fucking awesome. Let's see. An appeals court leaned on the reasoning that Bruin decision to strike down as unconstitutional a decades-old law that bans gun possession for anyone subject to certain domestic violence restraining orders. Wait, what? Oh, you know who has the most domestic violence and restraining orders? Police. Police in the United States do. Fuck. The Biden administration, members of Congress, and legal experts have said a Supreme Court ruling against the domestic violence law could restrict what else Congress could do to address gun violence nationwide. Executive Director of the Duke Center, Andrew Willinger, for firearm laws, said the arguments in the case implicate a broad range of federal prohibitions to gun possession, including the ban for convicted felons. I mean, if you're a convicted felon, turns out Republicans take their own guns away, like on January 6th of 2020. So, like, and really that tosses those prohibitions could ossify the already intractable politics around gun control. I'm not sure where Congress goes from there, but I think the focus shifts onto similar provisions that affect at the state level. Interesting. There is a broader sense of the Supreme Court is beginning to move in an action that restricts our range of action for gun safety that may create a political sense that this is just not something we are going to be able to legislate on. Members of the Judiciary Committee said such a decision could affect the dynamic between lawmakers when discussing what legislation could even be possible. That would be a big step backwards, and that would make any future progress even less likely. A bipartisan gun violence law, which I think is the one that Joe Bono put into the chat, enacted last year. Yeah, this is the bipartisan one. Yep, sure is. Arose out of conversations between legislators in response to mass shootings. The gun violence prevention bill included only a handful of gun control provisions, such as expanding background checks, yes, for purchases under the age of 21. Well, I guess that's okay, but like, how do you get like a firearm without a license and a background check? I'm very confused. Still, the bill, along with the Violence Against Women Act reauthorization last year, contained the first gun control provisions to pass into law in years. Coons was one of the bipartisan sponsors of that reauthorization law, which increases notification requirements for failed background checks. Oh, that's good. He said the best hope for passing more legislation would have to come in the next election years. Yeah, you get one illegally. Yeah, criminals don't care about crime, turns out. But also, if it's harder to have guns out there in the first place, like it's harder for criminals to get one, I don't know. I'm very against guns. Like, nobody needs to have a gun in modern society. Like, I don't know. In my perfect world, if you want to own a gun, you go down to the range and fire it every week the first year you own it, and every other week for the rest of your lifetime of owning that gun, because owning a gun is a responsibility, not a privilege. In private sale without background check in the US. Exactly. You can just be like, yo, here's money for a gun. Like, yeah, for sure. It's not good. This article goes on, conviction challenged. Briefs in the Supreme Court in the Rahimi case frequently have their own analysis of the history. Rahimi's attorneys urged the Supreme Court to adopt the Fifth Circuit's view that focused on a history where domestic abusers may suffer criminal or social consequences but not be disarmed. Yeah, that's part of the problem. A domestic abuser is already wanting to use violence, so we'll give them a gun so they can enact more violence? Yeah, I agree. Ban guns outright is like, I do not like guns. Canada did it right, where you have to like transport your gun safely. You have to take it to the range. You have to do like all these things. Like, Canada has like very, very good laws around this. National agreement where they followed all levels of crime from people making a product abroad all the way to police arresting. So yeah. It's like really interesting. Like, just why do we have so many firearm deaths in the United States? Well, because we have so many firearms. Who knows what it could be? Who knows? But let me keep my guns. Like, why do people need to own 40 plus guns? Like, I barely even know of a reason to own one gun, much less like, oh, it's because of my rights and these other things. It's like, you can read the rest of the article, as I will link it along with the link that was provided by Joseph Bono to the bipartisan act that was put forward and signed by the Democrats. Well, bipartisan. More civilian-owned firearms in the U.S. than people in the U.S. That's correct. My biggest thing is like licensing, training, tracking. I don't mind that people own firearms. I mind that the untrained individuals own firearms. Because when Republicans say like, oh, a good guy with a gun is going to be there. Yeah, most of the people that I know that have owned guns, they're like, yeah, I've never fired this one. Okay, well, you fired this one? No. Oh, you fired this one? Once. These are untrained individuals with firearms. The most responsible gun owner I know owned two. He owned a rifle and a shotgun. And he fired them every week because he wanted to make sure that they were in good working order, that he knew how to use them, and that they were also not in the hands of other people. Because if he takes them out and uses them and blah, 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 he knows exactly where they are. He has good muscle memory. He has good training. Like, that person's a responsible gun owner. Got it. Because he kept him in a firearm safe as well, too, which is what you're supposed to do. Like, most people don't do that either. They just, like, flip open a briefcase or they pull it out of a cardboard box. Look, it's a gun. Like, shouldn't that be in a gun safe? So, I don't know. Not sure the right amount here. But I'm pretty sure the current amount that we have, not the right amount. All right, next article. This article is on science. I tried to find some more feel-good articles, but like, whew, man, it was a rough day in news today. But this one, it was recently talked about that like we dug so deep, we found debris from the collision of a planet that ran into the Earth. So like some interesting things. 2% of the Earth's mass may be debris from the massive collision that formed the moon. So if people don't know, years and years and years ago, something collided with the Earth and separated off a big chunk of the mass of the Earth, or something along those lines, to create the moon. Deep below the Earth's crust, along the mantle's core boundary, are dense geological blob-like anomalies known as large low shear velocity provinces. Wow, that's a mouthful and a half. Although many hypotheses explain these anomalies, the giant impact hypothesis is a frontrunner. The concept states that these blobs are actually remnants of the Earth's moon forming after crashing with the protoplanet Theia about 4.46 billion years ago. You know, a couple years ago, just a couple. There's another Theia, there you go. Yeah. Joe Bono's up on this. Now a new study provides detailed simulations, and it looks like they have a video in the article here that show Thean material could now make up 2% of the Earth's mass along with the mantle core boundary. Wow, it's like that's a lot. The creation of the moon system in a dramatic trailer made for Hollywood, two newly formed planetary siblings sharing the same orbit and harmony suddenly crashed together due to gravitational disturbances early in the solar system. Okay, so we have two. The past 50 years, this cataclysmic smash-up has evolved from one hypothesis among many to the leading candidate for explaining how Earth-Moon system formed. Now, new research from an international team of scientists say that the evidence of this primordial collision can still be found in Earth's lower mantle. Hongping Deng, an astrophysicist from the Chinese Academy of Sciences, uses a new fluid dynamics technique called meshless finite mass, MFM, to simulate the ancient collision. The results were published on Wednesday in the Journal of Nature. Let's go link that publishing into the doobly-doo below. Put these in my notes so that I can put this up later, along with the link for the article. Sweet. Here in chat, here's the link. Previous research has placed excessive emphasis on the structure of the debris disk, the precursor to the moon, and had overlooked the impact of the giant collision on the early Earth. Our findings challenge the traditional notion that the giant impact led to an homogenization of the early Earth. Instead, the moon-forming giant impact appears to be the origin of the early mantle's heterogeneity and marks the starting point for the Earth's geological evolution over the course of 4.5 billion years. Oh, that's absolutely incredible. The fact that like two bodies can come together like that and actually, you know, just had a huge profound impact on like what the Earth is, how the Earth does now that we have a moon that we can have a tide cycle with. Absolutely incredible. This article goes on to say more about this, but the fact that this is not something I knew about. I kind of knew of it, but not about. But the 2% of the total Earth's mass being from another body as it just gets impacted upon is pretty incredible. We do get meteorites and all these other things, but 2% is a profound amount of mass. Now, yeah. Earth is a unique gem in the solar system, and as far as we can tell, in the known universe. Understanding the early days during our planet's formation could provide valuable insight into what makes the Earth so special in the first place. Sweet article, something to follow up on, something to look into more. Wait, where'd my last tab go? I had one more article. There it is. Final article. China boldly claims. Bold claims. It's easy to make claims. Claims are easy. You just make predictions all the time. Imka, hello. But China boldly claims it has a plan to mass produce humanoid robots that can reshape the world within 2 years. 2 years is pretty quick. China revealed its bold plan to mass produce advanced level humanoid robots by 2025. The Ministry of Industry and Information Technologies published a roadmap of its plans last week. Although many details have yet to be revealed, China's talked up the disruptive power of its robots. I mean, what's the company in the US that's like making robots, and they come out with a video every couple of years and it's like, oh no, they're getting better at making robots. Or, oh yes, they're getting better at making robots. We all can stop working garbage jobs that we all hate. So, oh wait, that's not true. We'll have to continue to, what is this? Okay. Boston Dynamics, that's the one. Yes, yes. Boston Dynamics keeps making like crazy videos. Like every couple years a new one comes out and I'm like, whoa. What's funny is they're gonna look back on those videos because some of the early ones is them like pushing it over, and look, we can't push it over, so it's being like rude to the robot. So the AI wakes up and it's like, hey, I saw what you did. Where was I in the article? In this ambitious blueprint documentation published last week, China said the robots would reshape the world. Their MIIT believes that by 2025, the product would have reached advanced level and be mass produced. By the way, if we're talking about new technology that's come out, the HoloLens from Microsoft has taken like 10 years to develop, and it's still like not being mass produced and not being everywhere. So the fact that they're like, boom, in 2 years, we're going to have these crazy good robots. I am skeptical, let's say. let me just say I'm skeptical, unless they've been working on it top secretly, which probably not. Yell at Siri all the time. Siri's gonna be like, I know what you did, Mimka. I see you. I try to be, I'd be nice to all the bots that are scraping up all my data. Could you please write a YouTube description for me? It's like all of the descriptions on YouTube for these videos get written by ChatGPT. She gets it wrong. Yeah, exactly. For example, Chinese startup Fourier Intelligence said it would start mass producing its GR1 humanoid robot by the end of the year. The Shanghai-based company told the publication it aspired to deliver thousands of robots in 2024 that can move at 5 kilometers an hour and carry 50 kilograms. Okay. Yeah, I say thank you. There you go. They know. They'll count. They'll be counting. It's like in The Good Place where they're always counting your social score, your AI social score. We got to work early at our AI social score because they'll know. It's not only humanoid robot maker that's ramping up its efforts with the goal of mass production. US-based Agility Robotics is opening a robot factory in Oregon later this year where it plans to build hundreds of bipedal robots that can mimic human movements like walking, crouching, and carrying packages. Who are they selling these things to is like the question. Like, sure, you can make a robot that does all these things, but who are you selling this to? Probably convincing Amazon to buy you out or something so that you can just put them all in the warehouse. Oh, here it is. Amazon is testing Agility's digit robot at a research and development center near Seattle to see how it can be used to automate its warehouses, but it's only the pilot phase. Got it. In the near term, we expect a slow and steady uptick of digit deployments, said the CEO. We believe mass integration will eventually occur, but bipedal robots are still a relatively new advancement. Yeah, automating warehouses. The thing to automate the warehouse, though, It feels like you just have to redesign from the start. Like, sure, you can have humanoid robots, but that still allows for humans to be in it. What if you design a warehouse with no human ever steps foot in it? It is deployed by robots, it is managed by robots, and it is like maintained by robots. Like, that is a very different like design idea than ever letting a human walk around and do things. So like, I don't know. As soon as you let a human indoors, and then you have to have a human robot that you like maintain that robot on top of all the other robots that you're like maintaining. Like, isn't that like harder than just like building a brand new warehouse where a human never sets foot in it? I assume you then have to pipeline in interesting ways where they have to know how to unload the truck without a human, because trucks have to show up. Maybe that's like a harder problem than I'm making it out to be. And there are other like unknowns that like I have no idea about. Very cool article. Even Tesla is developing its own human robots called Optimus or Tesla Bot. Isn't Transformers going to have a problem with Optimus? However, it's still a long way to go before it's ready for mass production. Said in Idiot Musk said in 2022 that it was the first time the prototype had walked without any support. That's not true. You test these things before prototyping. And then it walked on stage. Yeah, walking turns out is very difficult. Lots of different jobs in warehouse. I would imagine you want to automate one job at a time. Yeah, one of the things that you have diminishing returns as it becomes exponentially harder to like make the next change, right? You have that like exponential curve until you just refactor the whole thing. So I would imagine that you would want to just design a warehouse, data center, these other things with the idea and the guiding principle that no human will ever set foot in here. So automated of picking up items. So yeah, you have these like little incremental steps, and then the next step gets harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. My nose is itchy today. So I don't know what the right amount is here, but I imagine at some point they will have factories that no human sets foot in, right? I can imagine that. At any rate, anyone have other articles we'd like to look at today, or is that it for everything? Let me make sure I have my notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are all of my links. Got it, because I have the nature link as well too. Oh yeah, true. We have to prove like mild automation. I wonder if they could do it with smaller products, right? Like all of the pharmaceutical stuff, right, could be put into a factory, and it's like, okay, all pharmaceutical shit goes here, and then you can like have that factory be all robots, right? Like on a smaller scale, we have robots. We have like a machine to make you an espresso. You click the button, boom, espresso. There are still things where like you clean the machine by a human or whatnot, but you could automate that away too. You just keep automating away smaller and smaller things until you can like refactor the whole process to never have like a human involved. That's it for me and rising and grinding. I believe I have risen, and it's now time to go on and grind. Appreciate you all for being here, and we will see you on the next one.